Hi everyone, this is Liz Swan, and today I'm going to provide you with a demonstration of Inkscape. Inkscape is a tool used to create vector images, and I have downloaded Inkscape 1.1, that is the most recent version, and it's free. This tool is great for creating icons or logos or characters. And what's nice, obviously, is if you're going to use these images more than once in either your document or your website or your ebook, you can resize them without losing the quality because it's vector images. For my demo, I'm going to focus specifically on shapes, how to create them, modify them, resize, skew, rotate. I'm going to talk about something called path, and I'm also going to focus on how to change the color and show you all of the different color options. There's a lot of cool options in this software that I discovered as I was learning about it. And what I really like best is just how customizable it is and how flexible the tool is overall. So as I'm going through, I will definitely be pointing out any of the best practices, as well as things that maybe were a little bit frustrating as a beginning learner, and hopefully ways that you can use this tool effectively. In the end, I will create an asset. I may use it in my final project, maybe not, but it's definitely going to be something that I might use in the project. So this is what the home page of Inkscape looks like. The very first thing I want to point out is all of these different templates that you have on the side. Um, and they just, commonly use dimensions, whether it's printing, working on the digital screen, video, different forms of social media. And then there's this other category, business cards, and there are some other items in here. I particularly am going to focus on screen, and there's all, of course, different options based on the screen size. When you find which one you want, you just double click it, and it's going to open up the document. Okay, once the document opens, and just to give you some orientation, you'll first notice that there are several tools over on the left side. There are also many on the top, and then there's also some over here on the right side of the screen. Now, the reason that this window appeared is because I was working with it the last time I was using Inkscape. That feature can be handy, but I found it to be a little bit pesky, and I'll get into that when I start showing you how to create and modify the shapes. For the time being, I'm just going to hide this window so that I can show you what the screen looks like, the actual page that you'll be working with. You'll see the lines that represent the borders, and I'm just going to zoom out a little bit so that you can see the whole page amount that you're working with. And again, that's based on the template that you selected at the beginning. So I'm going to start over here on the left side of the screen, and we're going to at some point talk about these two tools. This first one is to select objects, and this one is used when creating paths. There are a variety of shapes. And again, what I like is the customization. Now, for my end product, I'm going to create something that starts off as circular and something that is then customized to what I'm looking for. But just to give you a quick demonstration of these other shapes and to show you some of the things that you can do with them. To get started, you just simply select the shape, and when you get into your page, you'll notice that you get a thumbnail of whatever shape it is that you're working with. I'll start with this rectangle / square, and then I just drag it out. The first thing that you may notice is, again, why this crazy color, maybe not, why this orange fill, and then this light blue, what's called stroke in Inkscape. And that, again, is that feature that remembers. So the last time I was in Inkscape, these were colors that I was playing around with. And I can change that, and I'll show you how to do that. The other thing that you may notice is the rounded edges. That was just something I was playing around with another document that I had created in Inkscape. So I can change that. I will double click on the document, and I will get a couple of handles. The square handles in the upper left and lower right allow me to resize my object. The X in the middle allows me to move it around the page. And then these circular handles allow me to straighten or round the edges. So now my edges are straightened up again. If I click on the selector tool and then click this and click inside of the object, I get these options where I can also continue to resize. And then if I click it again, I can rotate my image. So just a couple of things to point out with the square shape. I can simply select on the shape and hit delete, and that gets rid of it. And while we're here, I'll also point out that the undo button is right up here in this toolbar. I'm going to skip over circle and just quickly take you through stars and polygons. So I'm going to select that option and come here, and what you'll see, of course, is the thumbnail for the star. Now, it's funny because it didn't really draw a star. It drew this, I'm not sure what you would call this. I'm not very good with math or geometry, but multi-side object with multi-sides to it. The great thing about it is that it's customizable. So if I did want to create a star, I would just click on star up here in the toolbar, and I can even tell it how many corners I want it to have. So if I wanted to have lots of them, it can have lots of them. I can change the shape of this. I'm not going to really spend a lot of time talking about stars and polygons because I won't be using them for the product that I'm going to demonstrate, but I did just want to show you some of the customization that you have. I'm going to get rid of this, and I will quickly show the 3D box. And then I will also show the spiral. One thing I do want to point out is whatever you have selected over on the left toolbar, you will get options right up here on this section of the toolbar. So for example, if I wanted to add more turns or fewer turns, I can type in a value or I can go up and down. I'm going to get rid of the spiral, and now I'm going to focus on the circle, which is where I'm eventually going to draw. So I select circle, I come inside my page, and I'm going to draw a super big giant circle. Move that. Oh, this is actually great that this happened. So do you notice how I meant to click the X, and what I did was I actually drew another circle in here. So that happened to me quite frequently, and I think it's just getting used to where my cursor goes. But you'll see that I still have that circular thumbnail. So wherever I click, it's just going to create another circle. And that's not what I want to happen. If I double click, I should get rid of whatever shape it is, and I can move it around. I can resize it. I can do all of those other things to it. Now, the end result of this project is to create something that that mimics what it would look like if you were looking through a microscope. The focus of my project is type 1 diabetes. So what I want to do, perhaps with this or not, is potentially create an image that shows a cross-section of a specific part of the pancreas that then shows these cells that impact insulin production. And for somebody with type 1 diabetes, that's where it all starts. That's where the initial breakdown happens. And I think that's very helpful, or it will be very helpful for the learners, and then also to give them a really concrete visual. So this circle is representing the slide, if you will, but not the actual cells. Now, just for now, I'm going to make 4 circles or circular shapes, varying sizes, and the sizes don't matter right now. I'm going to go back and fix them. And the reason I'm doing that is because in the end, I want to call out the 4 different cells that are going to be part of this cross section. And I might move them a little bit closer together, just so, see, there it is again. I did that circle. That's the thing that happens. So just select it, and then you can drag it. And I may put them close. They're not going to all stay this shape. I am going to customize this shape, but I'll talk about a couple of other features first. So let's talk about color. I don't necessarily want to keep the slide portion of this project, this bright orange with this blue outline or stroke. It's a really easy fix. All I need to do is click on the object, and then right down here, I can just select one of these colors and I can change it to one of them. I'm going to make it a very light color because I want the focus to really be on these 4 cells. And then in the end, I'm going to add some text to label them. What I can't do right from there is change the stroke. So I'll show you how to not only change the color of the stroke, but how to change the style, and additional options for creating colors for your fill or for the stroke. So the way I do that is in this middle toolbar, I have an icon that I think looks like a paintbrush. And I'll just click it and it's going to bring up this window. So there are three categories. There's fill, there's stroke paint, and then there's stroke style. So starting let's start with the stroke paint, because since I've already changed the fill of this larger circle and now I want to change the stroke color to something different. You have several different options to create colors or select colors. You've got RGB, HSL, which I learned stands for hue, saturation, saturation and lightness. HSV, which I learned stands for hue, saturation, and value. CMYK, which stands for cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. You have the color wheel, which is what I'm going to use. And then you have this option called CMS. And I was hard pressed to find any information on this, even in the Inkscape manual itself. And I also did a web search. I couldn't find anything that tells me what CMS in this capacity means. So if anybody does know it, if you could drop a line as you view this, I would love to learn what that means and how that works. When I click on it, it doesn't, for me, it doesn't really tell me a lot about what this is going to do for me. I'm going to go back to the wheel, and I want to make sure that I have stroke selected so that I know that it's going to change the color of this. And all I have to do is click and drag the wheel to wherever I want it. Oh, let's do this nice purple. It's pretty. I'll pick the purple. The next thing I want to do is I want to change the color of these cells. And so I'll start with this one. I do want to change the fill. I don't want them to all be orange. So this one I could definitely leave as orange. And then I can change the stroke color to, I don't know, a fun, say a blue. Excuse me. This next one, I'm going to change the fill because I don't want it to stay orange. So maybe I'll do something like a bright green. And the stroke color on this one, let's say I can make it for fun. I'll make it this purple color. Then for this next one, I'm just going to sort of randomly choose. So the fill color, I'll make that blue. I'm sorry, the stroke color, I'll make that blue. And the fill color, I can make it red. And then for this final one, I'll make the fill color something like the blue. And then for the stroke color, I'll make it a green. So this is just showing you different options that you have for creating colors. Now, right now, on all of my objects or shapes, my stroke is solid. I can change that. So if I want to make something dotted or with dashes, there are tons of different options that you can select from to customize that. And at the bottom, you can even select custom. I'm not going to get into that. Definitely feel free to explore. There's a lot in this tool that would take me a long time to get through it. So I wanted to really focus on just this one aspect of the shapes, creating, modifying, etc. I'm going to keep it at solid. I think it's good how it is, but I could also, I could make it any of these. So just to point that out. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to resize so I only have my page. And now I'm going to talk about creating paths, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So I've got this tool over here called Edit Paths by Nodes, and nodes will make more sense once I do the next step, which is to select the shape that I want to edit. I'm going to go up to Path, and I'm going to do object to path. Paths in Inkscape are for straight lines or curves, and I'm sure that there's other ways that you could achieve this, but I like this because I think we all know cells in the human body aren't necessarily perfectly round or symmetrical, and so to make it look a little more realistic, I'm going to use this path feature. And what you'll notice is I have 4 handles, but when I choose this, I can really make the shape, for a very technical word here, funky, which is probably more like a cell. So I just wanted to point that out too. That might be something more like what a cell looks like. And I'll do that for each of these objects. Funky is not a technical word, of course, everybody knows that, but just to make it fun. Okay. And then I'll do it to this one. Can even bring it in like that. And then finally, I will do this last one. I'm gonna make this one bigger, give it a really crazy shape. So this, again, this is a very crude illustration of a cross section of cells in the human pancreas. And if this were for my actual project, I would be much more mindful of the colors and the shapes and make them more accurate to what an authentic illustration or photograph of a microscope slide would look like. This is really just, again, for demonstration purposes. So the last thing I'm going to do is show you how to add text for the purposes of labeling. I have 4 different cells, so all I have to do to create text is double click, and then you'll see I get the blinking cursor, and I can just start typing. So the first one is called the alpha cell. The second one is called the beta cell. This one over here is called the delta cell. And then this one over here will represent the F cell. I have full flexibility on the font. And again, because I have text selected, I'm going to have all of these tools to change the font style. I can make something bold or italic, bold and italic. I can also change the size. I can do a lot of different things with it. But again, this is really just my introduction and demonstration on creating shapes and modifying shapes in Inkscape to draw images. I hope you enjoyed this. I will definitely be interested in hearing your feedback and appreciate your time and watching this video. Thank you so much.